April 11th, Maumelle Civil Service Commission meeting to order. I don't think we're gonna have any public comments, but it's on the agenda, so I have to ask for it. Under old business, approval of the March 14, 2022 minutes. We will take care of that first. You should have copies of that, and I will entertain a motion when you're ready.
Motion to approve as presented.
I have a motion to approve as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I need to turn my microphone on. There we go. All right, our next item under old business is to review and a possible vote on a draft rule change that the probationary period for a newly appointed Maumelle Uniform Police Department officer will be 1 year for already certified law enforcement officers and 2 years for other uniform newly hired employees. Madam HR Director, have we taken care of the public notifications we would need for a vote on this tonight?
Yes, sir, we have.
Okay, thank you. Last time we got together, we voted to ask the city attorney to draft this rule change. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at it. I will entertain any discussion before I ask for a vote in case you need it. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, say yes.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
opposed, no. Motion carries. We also, tonight, we're not going to vote on this tonight, but we are reviewing a draft proposed amendment to the city's rules and regulations on promotional exams. Long story short, this is basically applies to the police department. They have their own bank of questions on written exams. So this is not the situation we got into one time with the fire department where people were asking us to rule on questions that were coming from a nationally recognized test. And we got out of that business after that night. That was one night of that was enough. But this would apply to basically the bank of questions that our police department keeps and then works with HR to put together every year for promotional testing. All this really does is if an officer had a quibble or a question about the correct answer to a question, it puts a stop within the police department between that and going to HR for them to interpret whether that is a legitimate answer or not. And I think that's probably a good thing. Any discussion on that? Yes, sir.
Just that this is firefighters too, if they decide not to use the national test.
If they decided not to use the national test, right? As my understanding, right now they are using that national test, but that does have that situation covered should it go that route. Yes. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to review this draft. We cannot vote on this tonight. We will vote on this at our next meeting, if I understand correctly.
That is correct.
Okay.
Just be approving the language as it was sent to you.
Right, and we will vote on that one in May. So that brings me to a question. We keep putting this off, approval of the civil service recommendations to the city council, because we keep making these changes. Would we be well advised to table that?
Actually, no, because not every change requires that it go to the city council.
Okay.
This relates to the first rule change that you just approved by vote, because that is contradicted by the current employee handbook,
Okay.
which is approved by the council. So for that one, we do need, and I will draft an ordinance if so directed by the commission, for the council to modify their handbook in line with your rule change. But for, you know, for example, these notifications, the second rule change, that's not anything that the city council, governs.
Okay,
I don't think there's anything that it would contradict.
so we are in good shape then to move forward tonight, approving, you drafting the new city employee handbook for presentation to city council for their approval.
So it would be, well, this is the next item on the agenda, but what that will be is to vote on recommending that the city council do approve an ordinance, which I would be directed to draft, to make sure the handbook is consistent with the change that you guys just voted to approve.
Okay. But what I'm hearing is the draft we just approved, or for you to do this draft concerning the additional step in questioning questions does not need to be in what you send to the city council.
Correct.
Okay, so we're clear to go ahead and approve the ordinance modifying the Uniformed Employee Handbook.
Well, you would just be recommending that I draft one for the council.
For the council, okay, I've got you. So I'm looking for a motion to recommend to our city attorney that she,
We're skipping ahead.
am I?
Yeah.
We gotta go back. So.
You help me out here.
Before that, we've got to either approve or decline, the draft language on the second rule change, and then we would advertise it before we look at the ordinance
Okay,
situation.
so we still need to approve the draft changes,
The language.
the language.
I'll move, we approve the language.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed, no. All right. I'll kind of be glad when we get away from the business of changing a bunch of rules at one time. It gets confusing. Okay. So, where are we?
Now we're going to the third step on the ordinance.
Now we're on the third step to approve a recommendation that the city council approve an ordinance modifying the Uniformed Employee Handbook. That's where we are now. So I'll entertain any discussion, and if we don't have any, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the city attorney draft an ordinance that we recommend the city council to approve to be consistent with the civil service rule changes just voted upon.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion?
And this is just as to the probationary periods, right?
Correct.
Oh.
It is just to the change to the probationary periods that's stated in the handbook.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Under new business, we're gonna get an update from HR. I'll just let her take it over from there.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to administer the process for division chief on April the 29th, with civil service interviews to happen on May 9th, immediately following the Civil Service Commission meeting, or we'll go into executive session and then start the meeting.
And we will have two, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We will have to. And again, this is for division chief. I'm also requesting permission to start a couple new processes for the police department. We have a captain who is retiring, and so I'm going to need to get a captain's list. So we'll need to go through the steps to do that. And I would suspect that from our current sergeant and lieutenant lists, we'll have promotions in each rank, which will more than likely leave another vacancy for a police officer 1 or 2. So I'm asking to administer a captain's exam and an entry police officer or police officer 2 exam. So that we have lists prepared and certified for the time when we're going to need to make those replacements or those promotions.
Yeah, and departments as small as Maumelle's, man, when somebody close to the top retires, it's a chain reaction. And,
It's the dominoes.
and that's a good thing. It gives people a chance to move up, and that's always a good thing.
Do we have a retirement date?
June 30th, if I'm not mistaken. No, excuse me, June 1st. Yep, thank you, Corey. June 1st.
Do you have proposed, I'm sorry?
Does this require a motion?
No.
No, I just need your approval to start those processes and take those steps to do those 2 new recruitments.
Do you have any proposed dates, or you?
I actually do. Let me look under here. We were looking at doing the entry police officer on May the 14th. And that would allow us to get into the June 27th academy.
Okay.
And then for our captain's exam, we would probably do that shortly after that May 14th date. And I'll work with Chief Pickard and with the other Captain Collins and Lieutenant Thomas to get those dates
Okay.
posted. And we will make sure that we go through all of the proper posting requirements for that. I would also like to give you an update on where we are in our new hires for the Maumelle Police Department. We had 12 candidates pass the written examination and all of the backgrounds. 2 new certified officers were hired, so that's great news.
Yes, it is.
They get to hit the streets a whole lot quicker than the folks that get to go to the academy. We have 3 new uncertified officers, so they'll be going into the academy soon. And we have 1 offer extended, and it's currently under review. And then for the fire department, today we onboarded 3 new firefighters, and they will head to academy, is it? Sunday.
How long is the firefighting academy?
500?
Well, a long time, because we send them down there and don't let them come back until they're completely done, so.
Isn't the technical curriculum is like 520 hours?
Yeah, these 3 have no certification, so they'll do the fire academy, EMT school, and driver operator. So they'll be down there till the end of summer, August.
It'll be a little while before you've got some new boots on the ground, is what you're saying, yeah.
And that is all I have.
All right, I think we probably do need a motion to do that, do we not?
I believe we need a motion to.
Well, if they're, I mean, for them to approve it, they would have to do it by a motion. I don't think we can approve anything any other way, so.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to approve HR moving forward with their request for police department rank testing.
So moved.
Have a motion, now a second, any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we're about to move to executive session and to formulate battalion chief oral interview questions, and I will need a motion to that effect.
I move we move to executive session.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I'll text you.
Perfect. I'm pausing now.
Do the people who sent in their questions to HR have their questions with them?
I have mine with me, I haven't sent anything in.
Some people have sent in that we're gonna, I know Commissioner Northern
You say you
did.
had some for me?
I do have yours.
I didn't bring
Commissioner
them.
Wells, I have yours. And you can send them to me. I'm not gonna put those together until I get back from vacation
Well,
week after next.
I'm thinking you might wanna print, thanks, sir. You might wanna print those out and give them to them in case if they don't have them, so they'll know what they are.
What they sent in.
I don't think I remember
I know,
Well,
and
if you
we,
told me to do that, I didn't follow instructions.
No.
So, sorry.
Your question?
But I appreciate you sending the job description today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah,
yeah, I read through that, and I was like, man, that's a big jump.
it is a big job.
Yeah, I think, as I did before, Commissioner Wells, on yours, I might make just, some tiny little tweaks in that. First of all, I wanna make, firemen, gender non-specific
Fire
as
person?
firefighter.
As long as you don't call it fire person.
Fire peeps. And I think I had a couple, I was gonna
Do we
just
have a
say,
female up for battalion chief?
we do.
Okay, I know who you're talking about, she's good. Okay,
I would say, and I'll clear it with you,
she's
sir,
moved up
before
fast,
she's
I know.
Are we gonna have a chief soon?
Well, we hope so. I wanna make sure that there's nobody is that door closed? Can we
I think
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 14 candidates are moving forward in the selection process, so that's not too bad. And the executive search firm is, going to vet those and then give the top 3 or 5 to Caleb for him to make a panel and decide.
Okay.
So I'm happy with 14.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, that's
I'm-
good.
I have not seen the names. I've heard of some of the names and that I'm familiar with, but I cannot confirm nor deny
Anybody come on the staff here?
nobody. I think really the only person who meets minimum qualifications for that is Scott. And in his words, he said to me, I don't want to be a chief for 8 years. So I guess he's got
I get it.
8 more years to retirement and he just doesn't want to do it for that long.
Looking
So
ahead,
I
you may
will
love it
still-
and wanna stay longer.
I think he's saying,
Yeah.
in code words, I think he's saying, I've seen enough.
Yeah, exactly.
I think he's gotten into the fire marshal position.
He loves
He's
it.
comfortable where he is, nothing wrong with that.
I think it was a shock to him as to how much paperwork he has to do.
Yeah.
And I think once he realized,
It gets
How-
worse at chief level,
yeah,
yeah.
that I think he's more boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So.
I'll text you when we're done.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. All right. I tell you, I'll be glad when we get all these rule changes out of the way, cause that gets confusing.
Yeah.
But I think we're about there until they come up with something else. But that's why we have HR and the city attorney, cause they have some expertise that, most of the rest of us don't. All right, let's go ahead and, go through our questions for battalion chief and make sure nobody's overlapping too bad. Commissioner Northern, you can begin.
I just, last year I asked, what do you foresee as the biggest challenge to the Maumelle Fire Department in 2022?
Standard boilerplate.
Standard boilerplate.
Yep.
Get them talking.
Say that again, I think it's one of mine, I wanna make sure.
What do you foresee as the biggest challenge to the Maumelle Fire Department in the coming year, basically?
Okay. My turn?
Nope, he's
No.
got one more.
And then, I'm gonna change my second one up. How do you respond to criticisms or instructions from your superiors with which you do not agree?
Okay.
Any comments?
I'm glad I changed a couple of mine.
Yeah.
After hearing his or
Yeah,
after you
it-
saw the job description?
After hearing his.
Okay.
Well, I saw the job description, so I looked at it a little harder.
It's a lot of supervisor. it looks
Yeah,
like.
it is. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am?
You are recently promoted battalion chief. You notice one day as you are walking through your fire station that there seems to be negative undercurrents coming from subordinates. You observe things like whispers, grumbling about policy, lack of productivity, etc. Tell us how you would resolve the situation and what objectives you would focus on. part of the management team, what important assets or qualities do you have that contribute to the management team's goal of building a cohesive team with strong leadership?
It's always a good question. You like to see how much they'll brag on themselves, you know?
If they don't, I mean, that's not.
Yeah, they need to a little
They
bit.
need
They're
to.
kind of getting on up there. All right, any comments? All right, Secretary Durham.
My first one is outline the progressive disciplinary system for Maumelle Fire Department. And have you ever had to implement progressive discipline? And what special projects, committees, or programs have you been involved with as a member of the Maumelle Fire Department? What was your role in these programs and what was the accomplishment?
Okay.
You would hope by that stage of their
Yeah.
career they could be
They
able to
have
give you
some,
something.
They
you
should,
know?
as a captain, he should.
Yeah, they should be able to give you something.
Then I wrote a third one just in case we had some conflicts. Please describe one area you feel the department is strong in and one area you feel the department could use some improvement in, and how you think you may assist with the improvement.
You want to keep the third one and drop one of the other ones, or what?
Yeah, I kind of like the other two, but
You like the other two? All right.
I got one for next year.
There you go. You're ahead of the pack.
I'd hate to be last on this.
I know.
No,
Oh,
that big
you're
of a
good, you
deal.
have plenty?
Currently, Maumelle Fire Department has $2.6 million in vehicles, $7.7 million in buildings, and 30 full-time staff. Of these three, what is the most current need for the Maumelle Fire Department? Staffing, equipment, or facilities? And the second question, you just received your promotion and you changed firehouses. What are your day one top two priorities and why?
That's good.
Sounds good.
I usually right at because your first day on the job after promotion, you got to meet with your crews and it sets the whole
Sets the tone, doesn't it?
tone and atmosphere.
Yeah.
But you got to really think it out.
If y'all are happy with those questions, I will ask for a motion to leave executive session.
I move we leave executive session.
Do I hear a second?
I think.
Have a motion and a second to leave executive session. All in favor, or any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed, no. All right, we are back in public session. And let me see, just in time for a big thunderstorm warning.
Yeah.
Let me get HR back in here. I always forget how I put people in my address books.
This thing's moving pretty quick though. Still north of us. Good.
I wind up calling the police department if I'm not careful.
They may have to, during that storm, travelers may have to shut down.
I heard they were playing tonight.
Yes.
I
I
thought,
heard
good
that
grief.
they were moving, going somewhere else.
It's still going north of us. We're still safe.
No, they're not moving. That's it's got a couple of years.
They just dumped a bunch of money in a scoreboard.
Well, I heard they were in some kind of wrangle with North Little Rock.
Well, the
MLB mandated
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
improvements and
They
it's about
mandated-
$5 million.
yeah,
if I know
about
where
$5 million
Yeah.
Changes, and Little Rock put a couple million in. Little Rock thinks North Little Rock thinks they should put some into it. But to me, I think Little Rock and Plastic County ought to put some into it.
It's kind of a regional attraction.
I mean, one of the things I thought was ridiculous, they said they had air conditioned bathrooms. Them bathrooms are all right. They're clean.
Well, you know, somebody should have foreseen when they built that thing down into the ground that these sinkholes coming off the river were gonna be an issue. There have been times when I've come through that area of town when the river was super high, where there's water backing up out of the storm sewers, back out into the street.
Let me go grab Missy.
Oh, okay. And they, I forget what all they have spent on doing that. And I think North Little Rock paid most of that, if not all.
It's about every, seems like about every 2 or 3 years they have problems.
Little Rock ought to have their butt kicked for ever letting them get away from this side, or that side of the river to
Yeah,
start
there
with.
you go.
But that's typical Little Rock, unfortunately. But I guess when you got a Stevens wanting it over there, that's a powerful
Yeah,
thing.
that's,
I mean, there's no telling what they would make them spend upgrading Ray Winder Field, but
oh, it,
Warren could write a $5 million check
yeah,
pretty
Yeah.
easily.
yeah.
Pretty much just
He
get a
drops
tax
that much
write-off.
money getting up out of bed every
Ray
day.
Winder Field needs to be, the angle of it needs to be changed, cause you cook there in the afternoon.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
She said she's not required to be here.
Okay, all right, then all we need is,
better offer.
she's got something better to do. She's probably going to dinner, she's probably hungry.
It was something not quite as exciting
No.
that did her. She said she's working on a DWI.
No, well, that doesn't sound exciting at all.
No, okay, let's watch the.
All right, we were back into public session. Is there anything else we need to talk about tonight? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Boy, y'all are fast on that one every
Yeah,
time.
good one.
Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed, no. We are adjourned.